Meanwhile, Sky News understands more than 270 people have been made redundant after the British airline Flybe ceased trading, with all flights now cancelled. The company operated scheduled services from Belfast, Birmingham and Heathrow, including flights to Amsterdam and Geneva. And Sky News understands that 277 of Flybe's staff have been made redundant. The airline had 530 flights running per week after returning to operations in April of 2022. Now, those flights were across 23 routes serving airports in the UK, including Belfast City, Birmingham, East Midlands and Leeds Bradford. Now, Sky's business correspondent Paul Kelso has all the latest on this from Birmingham Airport.
Well, Flybe, we should say, is a much smaller business than when it went into administration last in March 2020, on the eve of the pandemic reaching the UK. It was an employer with 2,500 staff, crucial to regional connectivity in the UK. It went bust, it failed, it was bought out of administration, and a much, much smaller airline began operating under the same brand in April last year. You can see one of the planes on the tarmac here at Birmingham. They're not flying anymore. All flights cancelled with immediate effect, and no prospect of them getting back in the air. 277 staff made redundant, as you said. 2,500 passengers were expected to travel today. They're not going anywhere. And around 75,000 people had forward bookings, I understand. There'll be no refunds from the airline itself. It's run out of money. That's why the planes are on the ground. People have to go to credit card and debit card operators or tour operators to try and get a refund. There's about 300 people, the administrators estimate, have been displaced. That is, they've taken one leg and they have a return booking they can't take today. The Civil Aviation Authority are working with the administrators and the CAA will, they say, get those people home comfortably. Around 300 staff in this much smaller business. It was bought by a US hedge fund, Cyrus Capital, effectively the brand and leases to some of these aircraft. These planes are all leased, they're not owned outright. The Cyrus Capital have sunk around £50 million trying to keep the business in the air, but ultimately an airline based on regional connectivity, and this is a really big route, an important route between Belfast and the mainland UK. Around 100 of these staff who've made redundant work in Belfast, so this is a really big deal. And the administrator told me a little earlier what his plans are, the impact will be, and what his plans are to try and find a buyer.
At a time when we're talking about travel infrastructure and levelling up, this is a really unhelpful thing to happen, and just shows the importance of having well-invested infrastructure to do this. It's really unfortunate this happens to the main Belfast-London connection and Belfast-Birmingham. There are other airlines who can pick up the slack, but our hope is that somebody sees that and approaches us, to revive the airline.
So there's clearly an impact on travelling passengers, a great deal of inconvenience and possibly worse. We've heard of people who were coming over to see the musical Hamilton this weekend. Those plans have bitten the dust, and so there's clearly an impact. There's an impact obviously on staff who've been made redundant. I should say the January payroll was moved yesterday, so Flybe staff did get paid yesterday. Small comfort, but at least that did happen. But this is a much smaller concern. It isn't as big an impact on the UK's travel infrastructure as it was the last time it went bust, but nevertheless it still raises this question. In a country where the trains are not working as well as we would like, a regional airline operator like this, the core of the business, does not appear to be profitable.
Paul Kelso there for us. If you have been affected by the collapse of Flybe, please do get in touch with us here at Sky News and tell us your story by emailing in to news@skynews.com, or indeed you can send us a message on WhatsApp on 07583 000 853.